So what you just saw is a surface temperature of concrete in the afternoon on an 80-degree day. Decorative concrete guys, you need to get one of these tools. Air temperature is your friend. Surface temperature is definitely your enemy, and this comes into play a lot in your job. What we are planning to do today is to provide a brand new canvas color to this surface, but not with a micro topping, but with something more special, much thinner. The best way to describe it, which I don't like, is a concrete paint, but more or less that's what it is, although much superior to a paint. About 6 years ago, a customer came to us and asked us to develop a product for them that they had been using. We came up with something called Roll Eze, and what it is a single component, just add water material that goes over the top of your surface, ultra thin, via rolling or spraying, and it tenaciously binds and allows you to refinish it just like regular stamped concrete. So in this case, this is old stamped concrete, sort of a terracotta color, antiquing, been sealed and kept up over the years, but it's just time for refinish. Unlike some of the competitive products out there, we do not require you to strip your surface of the existing sealer. That alleviates a lot of headaches. We all know, as installers, the last thing we ever want to hear is, you gotta strip the sealer. In this case, our product was designed specifically not for that to be necessary. This comes at a 30-pound kit. 30 pounds covers 300 to 600 square feet by adding 2 gallons of water. It's commonly put down with the addition of integral color, anywhere from 1 to 3 ounces. Just make sure you match the same amount per batch so you get consistency over your slab. Once it's complete, you can leave it as a monochromatic top coat, or you can antique it, you can acid stain it, you can water-based stain it, you can use a teak wash and treat it just like regular stamped concrete. In the end, someone can come to you and ask for you to restore this to what the original finish was like, and you can accomplish it with this material. For this job, we figure we have about 150 square feet, so we weighed out half the material for a half batch, which should give us between 150 and 300 square feet, and I anticipate to have a lot left over. We're going to add in a buff type of color to change from this reddish to more of a natural tan color, and then we will antique it with a medium gray. Since this slab just measured at 112 degrees, it exceeds where we really want to be able to put it down, especially if it was a larger job. We could probably get away with the batch with such a small square footage, but we don't want to take chances. So even though it was washed down 15 minutes ago, I'm going to pre-wet it again and let it sit and get to damp dry and get to my temperature under 100 degrees, and we will get going. The best way to describe it is it should look like a paint. All right, so I did basically the sidewalk, the 5-foot portion here with just the first amount I added to my tray. So, which was a quarter of what I had in my original batch, which was half of a 30-pound batch. So I probably used, that was 15 pounds of material and a gallon of water. I probably used 4 pounds of material and the requisite water to get to where I did now. It's drying out, even, covered. So you see I have a nice neutral palette to which we will make our changes afterwards. Before I add more in, I'm just gonna goose this up a little bit and add back to my tray. Really, when you have a batch, you can add water one time, maybe 6 ounces in the middle of your batch, but don't do more than that. All right, there we have it. It's still drying a little bit, but it is now a beige, which matches some of the customer's other concrete elsewhere. It's not that stark brownish red that conflicts with everything else around here. All right, so what we're gonna do now is add a little bit of a concrete stain called Reax, which is a chemical reactive stain that provides effects similar to acid stain, but does not require the neutralizing. You just put it on, it goes down purple, and then it changes colors. In this case, it's like an amber / cream. That's just gonna give a little bit of a mottled effect to this cream color before we do the antiquing later on. All right, so we have our patio from yesterday ready to go, and we're gonna Tru Tique it today. After 15, 16 hours of rain, we'll be in good shape. As you see, it's been Roll Ezed. It's been hit with some Reax to give it a little rustic look, and the Tru Tique is going to define the stones, because that is a water-based powder that settles in the grout lines to imitate accent release and give you that fine contrast. If you're not familiar with what Tru Tique does, it is a powder that comes in a 3-pound container. You take a scoop or 2 or 3 and put it in a watering can such as this, which is 2 gallons. So generally you do 1 scoop per 2 gallons, and you're gonna pour it over your surface, and it spreads out and settles in those lines. There's nothing simpler to creating an antique effect. So this is what you get left with. After pouring it out, I mean, it takes 5 minutes. All this is going to dry, and that pigment, which is a sandstone, which is a greenish color, and the medium gray, is all going to settle in those grout lines and give us our contrast that we're looking for, making this complete facelift finished. All right, gang, it's the next day. A lot of rain yesterday, so we've got some dry time for the next 8 hours, and we are going to seal up the project from yesterday. The Tru Tique's nice and dry. We have real nice contrast here. This looks totally different than it did when we started, with roughly an hour, hour and a half's worth of work. So all we have left now is to seal it up, which we're going to be using our D2K sealer, which is a water-based silicone, very natural finish, medium gloss, some enhancement of the colors, but much more durable and long-lasting than acrylics. And as a water-based sealer, it is completely recoatable, which makes it totally unique versus other water-based sealers. So let's get started and see what we got. We normally spray this sealer and then back roll, but today happens to be very windy. So, and it's a very small project, under 200 square feet, roughly 200. So we're gonna be comfortable just simply dipping and rolling the entire thing, trimming out the edges, and be done. The key for this sealer though is it cannot be placed thick. You must get rid of puddles. You don't want to have to deal with that because it will create white lines like most sealers do when it's too thick. So if you're going to spray it, make sure you do back roll it to clean out the grout lines, especially on pattern type of stamped concrete.